and just said, look, I don't mind losing, but you got to call it right. It just went on a tirade. Took up for his players, took up for his team, took up for everybody. And the players loved it.
Yeah, you hate it when a game comes down to a ruling like that, though.
And dude, they only lost by a few points. That's the thing. And you can really make a case that all those fouls made a difference. And his team responded, and the crowd responded on Thursday night when they played the next game. And the Grizzlies didn't just win, dude. They came out and won by like 30 Thursday night. I mean the Spurs sat all their starters at the end of the third quarter, just sat them, and then they came out one Saturday night too in overtime. Dude, it's a series now.
Oh, dang!
Totally cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Alabama looked pretty good in their A-Day game the other day.
Yeah, they Jalen Hurts figured out how to throw the ball downfield.
Yeah.
Seriously, dude, he couldn't do it last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he couldn't.
I understand.
And when he did, it wasn't. I'm not going to say it was luck, but it wasn't pretty passes when he threw the ball downfield last year.
Right? Yeah, it was.
And Saturday he was doing it with precision. To say nothing of the fact they have a second quarterback.
Yeah. He looked good too, from what I saw.
Yeah, he can't run, but they have a second quarterback since everybody else was wusses and wound up quitting the team.
Dude, I mean, that's the thing is when you're that high of a recruiting class, when you're third string at Alabama, you're first string at any of these other colleges.
And they all freaking quit the team, and I couldn't understand it, man.
They go to these other schools.
I don't understand, man.
Because it's, maybe you're third string at Alabama, but Texas Tech needs a quarterback and they'll put you through college.
So you don't get your way, so you're just going to get up and leave? You're not even going to compete for the starting job? You're not even going to try?
I mean, I'm sure some of them do, but if I were, it would depend on who I was as an athlete. But if I were one of those guys, and I was getting shopped, actively headhunted by other universities, and they're making offers, I'd think about it. I'd be pragmatic about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't leave my team in the middle of a season. I would never leave my team in the middle of a season, which both of them did last year.
I mean, that's true. They did leave in the middle of the season. I might not have done that, but it can't always be about football. Those decisions aren't always about football.
Yeah, I guess I would never leave my team in the middle of a season. Never.
Okay. But I understand that too, that leaving in the middle of the season is kind of a crap thing to do. But I don't know. They look good. Defense is, I don't know. Everybody said that defense was not its greatest, but
defense will be fine, man.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah. How did Auburn look? I didn't know that their 8-day game. I'll get it at some point during the summer. But how did their 8-day game look?
New quarterback looks good. Baylor kid looks real good. Defense still looks stout. Everybody's saying that if the new quarterback is the real deal, then Auburn can contend. And I'm cautiously optimistic.
There you go.
As long as you don't have Gus calling plays, I think we'll be all right.
There you go.
Yep. Okay, let's do a podcast.
Yep.
Okay, cool. You got the intro?
Yes.
Got the date?
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
Okay.
When I said yes, I got it.
All right. Counting down. 3, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 Month Behind podcast for the week of 4/17/17, where we discuss all of the comics in the Marvel Unlimited app. I am Pat.
And I am Sean.
And we're the Mike Conley and Mark Gasol of the Marvel Unlimited world, just sitting here winning basketball games in overtime, just making life good. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. My Grizzlies won a game in overtime, which was, quite exciting. So, they tied the series at 2. You're the point guard distributing everything. I'm just a big man just sitting there, just, waiting to throw things around. So it's all good.
All right, man. I'm glad your team's doing good.
Yeah.
We don't have a basketball team here in Birmingham. We do have a minor league baseball team, the Barons, and they suck. So.
Oh, they can't be that bad.
I don't know. I don't know. They've lost most of their games this season.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
It'll
be all right. It's still fun to go.
Well, you still have Marvel Unlimited, which we don't, we're not paid for. We're just fans of Marvel Unlimited. We're coming out of Civil War. We're racing toward what do we call this thing where Captain America is a Nazi? It's
Secret Empire.
Secret Empire. We're going into Clone Conspiracy. Somewhere along the way, we got Monsters Unleashed. We got Death of X, which we're into. We got IVX coming up. Come on, man. We got good stuff going on here.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd call Captain America being a Nazi good stuff, but
Well,
I mean, and we've done a lot of banging on Marvel the last couple of weeks, and a lot of people have, and you can only kick Marvel in the balls so many times, but they're actively defending the Secret Empire thing, and I understand because it's already done, and you got to sell it, so I understand that, but you're really trying to get me to forget that Hydra are Nazis, and they're Nazis, and now's not the time to forget about that. So maybe just have a little humility and just say, yeah, Secret Empire, I think you're going to like it. I think you'll be surprised, but we also got this coming up.
which is what they did today.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, they had that story talking about the next story arc, which is
Legacy. Yeah.
Legacy, and I think they're going to be talking about that more, hoping you forget about Secret Empire.
Okay. Let's really hope that it at least bumps their sales back up, because like you and I discussed earlier today, there's great stuff that Marvel's doing.
Dude, the stuff there's some really good stuff out this week. There's good stuff coming out next week. There's some good books this week. You know what? That Solo book, I was really surprised by.
Yeah, I was too. There's some stinkers.
The Moon Knight book just continues to be awesome. The Clone Conspiracy book was surprisingly good. There's some good books this week.
Yeah.
And dude, you know me, I have nightmares about the Clone Saga books. And I cringed when I heard about that they were going to redo the Clone Conspiracy, but it was surprisingly good. It has been so far. So they got some stuff going on, man.
Yeah, and that Vision book they just wrapped up is the best thing ever.
Number 12 should be coming out in the next week or two, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we know Marvel's capable of doing really good stuff, really good work. It's just that maybe they're not doing their best to promote it. But anyway.
So hit us with the email. The email is...
So you can email us if you want to tell us your Marvel opinions at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6 months behind at gmail.com. Our website.
6 monthsbehind.com. Where you will now find all our social media tags. Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr are all there. Got them up today. There's nothing there yet, but it's coming. And what made me think of it is when I was looking at everything, and we've talked endlessly about all the work that we've put in the website and the social media. There's no need to talk about it again. But I was looking, and somebody was buying a series of hardcover books about Annihilation. And it was like 5 or 6 hardcover books about the Annihilation series. And I'm like, okay, I appreciate it. I appreciate the fact you would want the hardcover books. but you're buying 6 hardcover books for Annihilation, $30-$40 a piece. It's somewhere between 120, 160 bucks.
I mean, if you got the scratch,
dude, reading them unlimited. I mean, it looked good on my bookcase, but reading them unlimited, why? Just here it is, right here.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's become my preferred way to read comic books. I mean, it's practical. I love the feeling of a comic book in my hand, and I love having the nice hardcovers on the shelf. I love digging through a box and reading old stuff. But that's, for what we do, we digest this stuff, and it's a better method, I think.
I think it is too. I digest so. I reached a point when I sold my collection a few years ago. I don't know if I saved a picture, but in my garage, I had like 25 loan boxes spread out in the garage.
Yeah, I helped you go through them at one point.
When I sold them. And I just have bookcase. At one point, I had bookcases on top of bookcases on top of bookcases of books. And I still do. There's still 4 or 5 bookcases of books spread out through the house. And there's just only so much room for this stuff.
Right.
I just throw it on the iPad. I'm good.
Yeah. And I could go into why it's not, single issue floppies are not the best business model anymore, but we'll do that another day. For now, we're going to get straight into our books for this week. Just to let you know, we do discuss spoilers. The Clones Conspiracy is going on. We do have major spoilers for the end of Civil War, which hasn't come out yet. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about spoilers. If you haven't read all the books, Paul's here. Go read the books. Come back. We'll still be here.
Yep. The first book this week is from the Civil War series, which is quickly wrapping up, and it is Power Man and Iron Fist number 9. And this is actually a very good book because it delves into the whole what causes Ulysses' visions thing. And Luke is contemplating busting Danny. Power Man is contemplating busting Iron Fist out of jail, and Captain Marvel comes to discuss it with him, discussing being a relative term, and throws him into the jail, which begins a fight between Captain Marvel and Alpha Flight, and slowly spreads into the jail between Danny Rand and Captain Marvel, Danny Rand, Iron Fist, and Captain Marvel, and Alpha Flight, and it just kind of escalates until it's a giant jailbreak, and it goes on from there. And by the way, who is this guy in the hoodie that's fighting with the Mexican doctor to get the tablet back?
I wasn't sure of that myself. I've just kind of assumed that sometimes I don't know who these characters are.
I didn't either. He just shows up, grabbed the tablet that they were profiling people with, gets it, and leaves. And I didn't know who he was.
I would assume you're not supposed to.
I would assume. So at some point, a couple of times along the way, Luke tries to reason with Captain Marvel. It doesn't work, and the fighting continues. This is basically one giant brawl that they've been building up to for several issues now.
Yeah. This is the big fight that they've been dealing with.
Right. Storm's there. They're all there, and they finally get it reconciled because they have to stop and get the prisoners back in. And at the end of the issue, as Luke and Danny are sitting there, and Luke is apologizing to Danny because he knows it's not what Danny wants, but he explains to Danny that he was actually thinking about breaking Danny out. He hadn't decided to do it, but he was thinking about it, and it was one of the options he was considering. He had a list of options he was considering. He was thinking about it. It was like 3 or 4 things he was considering.
Right. He was also considering not doing that.
He was considering not doing it. He was considering legal action. He was considering all these things, and then he realized that maybe his considering doing it triggered Ulysses thinking about it, and triggered Ulysses'
vision to happen,
and triggered Captain Marvel coming.
Right, which shows another flaw in Ulysses' abilities.
Yes. which is just makes it a mess. Yeah.
You know what else is a mess? The art in this book.
You know, I've seen worse, but it's not very good. No.
The cover's real bad.
They tried to do an interesting perspective from the ground looking up at Captain Marvel.
Yeah, and it doesn't work.
And you got to be really good to make that work.
Yeah, whoever did this was not good enough to make it work.
No, instead it made her look pregnant.
Yeah, it makes her look very different from the Captain Marvel you and I would know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't work.
Anyway, it wasn't half bad.
No, it's just not. It's not great art. It's not the worst. It's just not very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall, not bad.
No, it's a couple of thumbs.
Yeah. That was the only Civil War book we have this week. Was a Power Man and Iron Fist tie-in to give you an idea of where we are with Civil War. We actually do have plenty of more Civil War stuff to do, but it's wrapping up. We're almost, where are we at? 7 and 8? Missing 7 and 8?
I think we got 6. I think 6 will come out next week or the week after.
Okay, so we're roughly halfway there.
Yeah,
but
no, we're over halfway. It's maybe the first. I don't know. We're a few weeks away from number 6.
Okay, and then we had the Clone Conspiracy #1, the big Spider-Man event that they've been building up to. So we opened at the funeral for Mr. Jameson. Everyone's very sad. Mr. Jameson has died. He was a kindly old man whose son's a real prick. You have Peter reflecting on all the people he's lost over time as being Spider-Man, and Aunt May has buried 2 husbands during her lifetime. And all this introspection by Peter Parker is rudely interrupted by J. Jonah Jameson, who chooses the perfect time to scream at Peter about his actions, where, if you remember in the last couple issues, he's kind of dissuaded Mr. Jameson from using the new U procedure, which could have saved his life. Afterwards, Peter and Anna Maria are discussing why he's wary of that procedure, which we all know is because his spider sense goes off anytime he meets somebody who's gone through the process. So he had an employee at Parker Industries. What was the dude's name?
It was a guy out in, what was it, Oklahoma, where there was some kind of explosion.
Yeah, it was like a chemical plant. And
knew you saved him and brought him back to life. And every time Peter saw him, it just went all bad.
Right. So after the funeral, Peter and Anna Maria are talking about the new U procedure, and Anna Maria suggests that maybe they should visit that employee and follow up with why exactly that's happening. So they go to investigate, and it turns out the new U people have kidnapped this dude after he didn't take his daily medication. Peter suspects it's some form of cellular degeneration from the cloning process, which is what we've seen before with the other cloning in the other cloning saga. So Spider-Man investigates the new facility in San Francisco. Here he finds Miles Warren along with Rhino and the new Electro. After a fight, he comes across Gwen Stacy, who's just there for whatever reason, unceremoniously, like she was in the last issue. Do you remember?
Yes.
Amazing, yeah, where she just like she's just there.
Yes.
I don't know. I thought it was. I don't know. Her placement in this whole thing has been odd.
It's been very odd.
Yeah. Anyway, this distracts Peter Parker, of course, because there's Gwen Stacy who's supposed to be dead, and he's distracted, and a newly resurrected Doc Ock knocks Spider-Man unconscious, which we know that the actual Otto Octavius has been looking for a way to come back to life and regain his body, so it makes sense that he would choose this procedure. From there, we get a backup story retelling the night Gwen Stacy died from Gwen's perspective, and how she came to be resurrected by the new U, and what her possible role in all of this might be.
And I found that backup story much more interesting than the front end story. because it explains first why she was brought back to life by New You, and secondly why she's helping him.
Right. Yeah. It explains why she's there.
Yeah.
And it makes the first two, like what we remarked on was, oh, there's Gwen Stacy. After what? What's going on? Why is she there? And then we understand why with this story. It was okay. It was an interesting little backup story.
Yeah, but it explained a lot, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was all right.
Okay. We disagree. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. The first issue of this is fine. It's really just set up. I'll be interested to see where it goes and where Ben Reilly comes in and what happens with that.
You
I have
know,
no problem with Ben Reilly. I just don't want to do the clone thing again. I kind of like Ben Reilly.
Ben Reilly's getting his own series when this is over.
I'm fine with that. He's had his own series before.
I understand.
No X-Men books this week. We had 2 Avengers books. Uncanny Avengers number 15. So after Cap disbands the Unity Squad Avengers, Deadpool and Rogue are sitting around deciding what to do in the bombed out theater. And all of a sudden, Dr. Voodoo shows up and tells them that Bruce Banner's body has been stolen by the Hand. Which was it the last issue of this that we saw that happen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We read so many books, I can't remember what happens where.
Why can't we keep Bruce Banner dead? It's been like
20
months.
minutes. Yeah, it's been like 20 minutes.
why can't we keep him dead?
Because the idea of a reanimated undead Hulk is pretty cool. I do kind of like the idea of the Hulk the Hand resurrecting the Hulk. They should have waited a little while, but I'm intrigued. But if I had to guess, he'll be dead in about 3 issues, and then he will be dead for a while.
Okay.
Anyway, Dr. Voodoo tells them about the Hand. They go to Tokyo to take on the Hand and retrieve the body. After a whole lot of Deadpool jokes, they're able to subdue the ninjas before they can complete the ritual. Except that it turns out that this isn't Bruce's body. He's already been resurrected, and he busts in on the very last page. And next issue, Undead Hulk takes on the not Avengers. Yeah, okay. It's fine. It's whatever. They're doing this little thing while they get ready to do either Monsters Unleashed and then go into Secret Empire. I get it. You're really unhappy about this story.
You make killing Bruce Banner the point of Civil War. Okay, it is the centerpiece of it. It's what
this whole thing. It's what the whole Civil War pivots on.
Yes, it's the emotional linchpin that it hangs on.
Right.
And you leave him dead, as you said, for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
What's the point? Seriously, what's the point?
It does devalue his death a little bit during Civil War.
It completely cheapens it.
Yeah, it really does. And I think this is a cool story, but they should have waited longer. I'll agree with you there.
You could have told this story with any number of characters and not cheapen what you did in Civil War.
Yeah.
I mean, it all the emotional issues, everything you did in Civil War with Bruce Banner, and then you turn around and do this. I really feel in wrestling terms, it's a very cheap pop. It's just lazy storytelling. It's bad, man. It's bad.
Well, Marvel hasn't been good at making the best editorial choices lately.
Yeah. What's not bad, and I surprisingly enjoyed, was the Great Lake Avengers.
Really?
It's comic relief, man. And
yeah, and I mean, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either.
I didn't love it, but for comic relief, I found it funny in the vein of, Squirrel Girl or Howard the Duck when it's good, because Howard the Duck wasn't good this month. Those books that bring us comic relief when they're funny.
Yeah.
And my
Gwenpool being one of them.
Yeah, when these books that bring us comic relief when they're funny, I think Great Lake Avengers did this month. And
this is really how you make the Great Lakes Avengers work.
Yeah, and whoever's writing this, which is, I don't know, somebody. If you don't put your name in the first couple of pages, you don't get mentioned. It was funny. And what happens is,
Zach Gorman. I know that name.
We begin in New York with the attorney for the Avengers, who's obviously having a very bad day because she's the attorney for the Avengers, which, probably leads to her having several bad days. And she has to go see Flatman in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And apparently she doesn't want to see it, and he doesn't want to see anyone. But she explains that a while back, he was the only person who applied for a patent on the name of the Avengers. And he did it without permission, of course, and started using the name without permission. However, because all the other teams have been disbanded or are using the name illegally or aren't there, he applied for the trademark, actually. He's the only one left who has a legal name, the Avengers. He's the only team left who has a legal trademark Avengers name. Would be the Great Lake Avengers, which I find pretty funny.
That is pretty funny.
So they start trying to buy him off, and they can't buy him off. They can't, they offer him money. They offer him everything. Finally, the only thing he actually wants is to be a real team of the Avengers.
Put the team back together.
He puts the team back together.
Yeah, he wants to put the band back together.
Right. And Squirrel Girl completely avoids his phone call, which this is where she began.
Yeah, that's really funny.
She wants nothing to do with him.
Because she was in the Great Lakes Avengers at one point, wasn't she?
Yes, that's where she began.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so she completely avoids him. Big Bertha shows up. I don't
know, and I don't really know who any of these characters are for real.
Well, that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
What's this other guy? D-Man, Dr. Midnight? I don't know what his name is. Anyway, he shows up. They start fighting a bunch of D-list villains. They travel in Flatman's Winnebago to Detroit. It's just, dude, the Avengers are actually the ones who send them to Detroit.
Yeah.
There's another guy who can't be killed, Mr. Immortal, but he's trapped in a grave like 8 or 10 feet down, so he can't be killed. But he's pretty much bored to death. Yeah, it's because he's buried alive. So there you go. It's pretty funny, man. I enjoyed it. I did. It made me laugh.
It showed some promise. I went into this going, Great Lakes Avengers. What?
I did too.
And we'll see how it goes.
We've often talked about this. What I do is I read the worst books at the beginning of the week just to get them out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this was actually the first book I read this week. And I just laughed, man. I mean, I literally started laughing on the first page and laughed all the way through it. And it was funny. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it exceeded expectations.
Yes, it did.
Getting into our main 616 universe books, we have Gwenpool number 7. So after giving the squid head aliens the slip, Gwen finally makes it to her meeting with the new boss of MODOK. Not MODOK the person, but his organization, which he used to be a part of, but now he's floating in space somewhere. It's funny too because she uses a pig to get by. She dresses a pig up like her Deadpool persona, and just gives it to the aliens. And she's like, "Yeah, they're racist. They don't know."
Yeah, because all humans look alike to them.
Yeah, it's all we all look the same. And there's a panel with two of the aliens just looking at the pig, like, and a picture of Gwenpool going, yeah, that's probably her. So anyway, she goes to meet this new boss who's been mysterious since like the, I don't know, 4 or 5 issues ago. And he's this extremely normal, mundane old white dude. And he explains that that's his whole aim, is to use MODOK and keep the MODOK organization to keep things normal and as boring as possible, like a time before the superheroes showed up in the world. Because he remembers that time, and if he can convince himself that things are like that again, he'll be happier or something. Meanwhile, Gwen's still trying to avoid these squid aliens who are chasing her all over the city, who have not been fooled by the pig trick.
No.
Yeah, it was all right. It wasn't half bad.
It was pretty funny.
It's funnier than I'm making it out to be. You got to read the jokes. Understand anytime it's Deadpool or Gwenpool or any of these funny books, that the jokes there are really what make it. It sounds ridiculous, but the joke makes it funny.
Yeah. What isn't funny is
not at all. We'll call it the opposite of funny.
And let's get serious for a moment.
Yeah.
How many more issues of Steve Dillon's work are we going to get?
It can't be too many more.
I mean, for those who don't know, Steve Dillon has been the artist of The Punisher for a very long time. He died unexpectedly while drawing this book, and this is issue number 6. He can't have drawn many more issues before he passed away.
Right, because he had drawn it and the second issue was out, or at least on Unlimited.
Yeah, I mean, so there can't be many more issues that Steve Dillon drew that are coming out with his artwork. And
one, maybe two more.
Yeah. So we're not going to get many more of Steve Dillon's artwork, and it's not. His is a very specific style that he didn't draw many things other than the Punisher, and it's something that you often equate with the Punisher as his artwork. Mm-hmm. And it's I would say I enjoy it, but this book is so violent. It's different. So
yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the book. It's a great Punisher series.
Yeah, it is. It's
what the Punisher should be. It's the Punisher, just maiming and killing bad guys is what this is.
And every time you deviate from that, we've discussed this before. You have certain characters who do certain things, certain formulas for certain characters.
Yeah.
With the Fantastic Four, you fight Doctor Doom every few years. With the Avengers, you fight Ultron, you fight Kang the Conqueror, you fight certain villains. And when you get away from those formulas, you have trouble. With the Punisher, you fight drug lords and you rack up a body toll. That's what the Punisher does. And when you deviate from that formula, you have problems.
Yeah, you do horrible things like break knives off in people's skulls and carve their faces off.
Right. When you take Captain America and make him a Nazi, bad things are going to happen to yourselves. Just,
right.
Something you might not want to do.
You can, and I don't want to get this idea that you just play by the rules and you don't do original ideas, because I don't want that either. But sometimes a formula works, like with the Punisher, and you can continue writing stories of the Punisher killing bad guys forever.
And you can tweak it. You can modify it, but don't deviate too far from it.
Right. And it's fun when he occasionally runs in and has to team up with Spider-Man, or like him and Steve Rogers, when he's not a Nazi, have to work or forced to work together, even though they butt heads about a lot of things. It's fun, but I always like that about the Punisher, is that he's always doing his own thing. And every now and again, he would just be forced into a situation where he has to confront the superpowered world.
Sure.
Yeah. Like I'd like to see him in Daredevil again, which we'll talk about later. but yeah, making Captain America a Nazi too far.
Yeah. Anyway, we begin with Agent Ortiz, who is still mourning the death of her partner, Agent Henderson. We won't discuss how he died because it was kind of brutal. And she's contemplating all the characters who are involved in this drug conspiracy. And we go back to how Frank Castle and the other two in Face and the colonel that's in charge met each other. It's kind of an origin story, how the three of them worked together back in just as the desert. I assume this is somewhere back in Iraq 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's that sliding timeline thing. This, a few years ago, this would have been Vietnam or whatever, but now it could be Iraq, the Iraq War. It could be Desert Storm. It could be whatever.
Right. And they're
trying desert.
They're trying to take a village, and their job is to assassinate one person, and that's what Frank wants to do. And instead, they wind up killing a multitude of people very graphically, and somehow, which I don't understand, Frank winds up in a grave and then winds up coming out of a grave.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either.
I don't really understand it.
That confused me.
So there you go.
I'm sure they'll explain that in the next issue.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. So there you go. It was a good issue. Again, we always say it. This book is not for kids, man.
Dude, no. There's literally a parental advisory on the cover.
Just don't.
And I don't know of many of comic books, at least the ones that we read, that have an actual printed parental advisory on the cover. Not many.
Yeah. Most of the parental advisory books, I learned that's one of the reasons that the Jessica Jones book actually isn't in Marvel Unlimited. A lot of the parental advisory books don't wind up in Unlimited.
Yeah, because Marvel does have their Max line where they do stuff like that. And the Punisher stuff in that Max line, while very good, also not for children.
Yeah.
And I can understand why Jessica Jones isn't either.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Solo
number one. So we got a new character from Marvel. At least I think he's new. Is he new?
Oh, no, absolutely not, man. Been around 30 years.
Oh, for real?
He's one of the Deadpool mercs for money, man. Come on.
Oh, is he? Okay, I didn't know this.
Dude, he's one of the mercs.
Okay. Gary Dugan's writing it, who's also writing Deadpool right now.
And writing the mercs for money.
Oh, is he? Okay. You read those books. I don't. I thought it was, I'll go ahead and give it my judgment. I was surprised by it. I thought it was pretty good.
It was entertaining, yes.
Yeah. It was one of those, I was like, oh, what's this? And then I was surprised. So Dum Dum Dugan sends a couple of rookie SHIELD agents out to find Solo. We meet him as he's attempting to break into one of the hideouts of the Mad Thinker. He's been contracted to steal a dog from the Mad Thinker, who's named Baron Peepers, and he wears a top hat and a suit. Cute dog.
Yep.
Later, he's saved from a bar fight by the SHIELD agents and Dugan, who want to hire him for their own purposes. Yeah, it was not bad. The art's good. It's okay. I'll read it again.
Yeah, it was entertaining.
He almost gets in a bar fight with a bunch of dudes, and he's doing this whole thing for money, and he's got a family at home. It was a good number one. It was enough to hook me in when I was I wasn't sure what it was.
Yeah, one of the things that I don't like about the merch for money is they've taken a couple of these guys, particularly Solo and one of the other guys that I can't remember his name, the guy in purple.
Oh,
And they've kind of, I want to say, dumbed them down. Kind of,
they've made them one-dimensional.
yeah, they've kind of lowered their power level and made them less of a character than they should be.
Mm-hmm.
And in Solo, they kind of, in this Solo book, that's a bad pun. And giving him his own book here, they've kind of brought him back up to where he should be, where they decreased him in the merch for money. Okay. So I'm glad to see that they did that.
You get to explore some of the nuances of the character.
Right. He's better than Madcap and a couple of those other guys that you see in the merch for money.
Okay.
So I enjoyed. I'm glad that they did that. This Deadpool number 20, which is up next.
I actually did read this. It's funny.
Which is an entertaining book, because here's the premise: is Deadpool is trying to prevent a girl from committing suicide. Which, let's just think about that a moment. Deadpool is trying to prevent someone from committing suicide. So the book, the world's greatest comic magazine. Well, I guess if the Fantastic Four aren't going to use that moniker, you can put it on Deadpool. There you go. Just on the cover. Anyway, she's on top of the building that Deadpool bought that's been blown up, and Deadpool happens to be there, and he stops her from jumping and says, "Look, if you want to go jump, there's the Parker Industries building. It's much taller. Go jump off Peter's building." And he's trying to discourage her from jumping. His first plan is to go get her to go see Hamilton and cheer her up. And if it turns out what he's doing is he has this big sack of mail that he receives there at the mansion or theater of people that have been done wrong and need justice. So they begin on an evening of dispensing justice. And the two old people that he beats up to get their tickets to Hamilton happen to be on that list. Right. So first they go see Hamilton. That doesn't exactly cheer her up. So then they go to a guy who's basically a slumlord and has been robbing people. They go beat him up. That doesn't cheer her up exactly. So he goes back to the cycle.
It doesn't really go well because they kind of beat up his mom.
Yeah, I think she gets crashed by the door when he beats it down.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he kicks the door open. It hits his mom. That doesn't go well. So then they go to a guy who's running what's he running? A gambling operation, I think?
No, it's like they're stealing photos from your like your iCloud and stuff.
Yeah.
They're stealing people's nude photos and posting them on the internet.
Yeah, so there's like 20 or 30 of them in there, and Deadpool starts taking them out, and she's got a baseball bat, and she whacks a couple of them and maybe a couple of computers, and it doesn't exactly make her feel better. And the whole time Deadpool's been texting, and he's been texting some people at the ER to get her into a recovery room. And yeah, he gets her there, and he thinks he's going to feel better. And as he's leaving, he steps in a pile of dog crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It was an entertaining little book.
It was this is a single issue Deadpool that I would hand to someone and say, if you've never read a Deadpool comic, read this one.
Yeah.
Or if you're only moderate, if you've seen the movie, read this and you'll know if you like Deadpool comics.
And I say this every month. There's good Deadpool. There's bad Deadpool. This is good Deadpool.
Yeah. And part of it helps that it's a contained story.
Yeah. Well, what often happens is people try to overreach. They overreach with the violence. They overreach with the jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And this doesn't overreach, and it's entertaining.
The art and the cover are really good too.
Yes, it is. The art's very good in it.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I really enjoyed this. It was good.
Yeah. Mosaic #1, which is a new hero.
Yeah, Mosaic is brand new. He's a brand new Inhuman. Actually, hang on. Let me navigate to my book here and see who created this. Kerry Randolph is Jeffrey Thorne is the writer. Don't know who that is, but Stuart Eminem's doing the pencil work, and he did a bunch of Ultimate Spider-Man back in the day. So you have this guy, he's a hotshot pro basketball player, and he's exposed to the Terrigen Mists and develops the ability to jump from one person's mind to the other. He doesn't really have a physical body, rather he's reliant on inhabiting the body of another person. Each time he's able to take on that person's persona, he also remembers the things that they remember. So he takes some of their memories with him. And then we have this really long sequence of him kind of, after he emerges from the Terrigen cocoon, he kind of, stumbles into this body, and then he doesn't understand what's going on. And he stumbles into another one, and he kind of starts putting things together, and different things happen where he's just transferring himself from one body to another, and he figures this out. One of these involves a couple of thugs stealing from Russian mobsters, and that doesn't really go well. The whole thing's a little long, but I guess it has to be for introducing a new character. But I think it's going to be a pretty cool new character.
You really enjoyed this, didn't you?
I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. The art's really good.
The art was good. The art was good. I didn't.
What didn't you like about it?
I had trouble keeping up with what he was doing. And as we've discussed before, I've been reading comics a very long time. 40 some odd years at this point. Over 40 years. And if I have trouble keeping up with what it's doing, if I have trouble following it, if I have trouble following a storyline, understanding what's going on, and I start getting bored with a comic, yeah, it's probably not very good. Maybe it's just my taste. Probably is, everything's not for me.
Okay. I mean, I didn't really get confused. I think the whole thing where after he comes out of the cocoon, you're supposed to be a little confused about what's going on, and you're supposed to discover it along with him. But I don't know, man. I thought it was good.
Tell you what wasn't good that kind of lost me. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, you got this hotshot, cocky basketball player whose whole world gets turned upside down, and I think you've got a lot of potential to do something.
Well, I followed all that.
Power.
Yeah, I mean, I followed all that.
Yeah, his power's really cool too, because what happens is he picks up different aspects of these people that he inhabits. Like one of these guys speaks Russian. Well, he transfers into another body, but he still knows how to speak Russian.
Yeah, I followed you. Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential here.
Yeah. It was certainly better than Howard the Duck.
Well, that's not saying a lot.
Let me. You may know this.
Yeah.
When they relaunched everything after Secret Wars, did they plan on some of these being maxi series or limited series, or are they just canceling them at issues 10 and 11 at the end of Secret Wars as they go into Marvel now?
They're probably just canceling some of these books that just aren't selling. Is this the last issue of Howard the Duck?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. I could see them, it's probably not selling great, and they got to axe a book. So, yeah, I can see how they'd give this the bump.
Okay.
The last couple issues hadn't been great.
This is not great. What happens is Howard somehow wound up in the Mojoverse, where the Mojoverse is where Mojo runs a series of TV shows for the intergalactic world to watch. And turns out Howard the Duck is his highest rated TV show. The real Howard the Duck winds up in the Mojoverse, dealing with the creators and writers of his show. Somehow he dies. Doctor Strange has to save him. Spider-Man's there. he winds up going back and forth between the Mojoverse and the 616 universe. He lives happily ever after.
It's super convoluted.
It's super convoluted. I barely cared enough to get through the thing. And that's knowing that I had to review it and I'm the one that had to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. It was bad. And I don't think you even read it.
I couldn't finish it. No.
I
got about halfway.
Just bad. And we've really enjoyed the Howard the Duck series.
Yeah. Like how, when we started doing it with number 1, I didn't read the first couple issues because it is Howard the Duck. What? But you kept going on about it and telling me how good it was, and it was funny. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I became a Howard the Duck fan. But the last couple issues have lost me. And here's the thing: with these books, Howard the Duck, Squirrel Girl, Great Lakes Avengers, you really let the writer, because it's silly. You really let the writers do whatever they want. Mostly, you let them run with it, and it gets real goofy. And that's fine because it's supposed to be. But sometimes you have stories that you come up with that are creative and funny, but they're only funny because you're a writer in the entertainment industry or have worked in that industry, and it's funny in a writer's room or in a group of peers. But to regular comic book readers, they're not going to know what you're talking about, or not relate well enough to it to buy your $4.99 Howard the Duck book.
And you get so many inside baseball jokes that nobody else gets them.
Right. It's like, it's like a guy telling stand-up jokes about hunting in California, in San Diego. Some guy's going to rattle off jokes about, camo and bow hunting season, and everybody's going to go, what?
Yeah.
It's too, yeah. It got too specific, and yeah, I don't relate to it and I don't understand it. And
what was better?
Good luck to Howard the Duck.
Thunderbolts number 6.
While Bucky's out of the base, a couple of the Thunderbolts decide to go on a beer run. Tinker and Songbird try to use Kobik for their own evil purposes, and they find out Bucky got captured at the end.
What was up with Tinker and Songbird there at the end of the book? Because Kobik kind of thumped them, and then at the end they're just sitting there kind of.
There's something off about them.
Yeah, there's something off about them. I mean, they're just sitting there like she's put a happy spell on them or something.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what
I know
that
doesn't sound right, but they're just sitting there.
Well, she had to protect herself. They were trying to harness her power, and they didn't view her as a little girl. They think of her as a cosmic cube or a fragment of one. So she did what she had to do to protect herself, and that means she's kind of enthralled Tinker and Songbird. And I wonder if it's going to happen with the others.
It was an entertaining read.
It was all right.
The beer run wasn't very good, but what Songbird and Tinker did with her in the other half of the book was good. So it's like, okay, this part of the book, where they're trying to go get food and beer, that's not good. These two fooling with Kobik was really entertaining.
Yeah, it was more entertaining than the two buffoons trying to go get supplies.
Yeah.
And running into S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
In the literal middle of nowhere.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
You liked it more than I did, I think.
As I said, I liked half the book.
Yeah, it was all right. It wouldn't. I've read worse.
Yeah. Did you read Moon Knight number 7?
Of course I did.
What'd you think of it?
I'm not sure what's going on in that book, and I don't care because it's bizarre and crazy, and I love it.
I say this every month. I'm to the point, I'm going to go back and read some of the earlier Moon Knight stuff to just figure out how crazy he is. You remember that Nick Fury story where Nick Fury made the comment that he can be Moon Knight because Mark Spector is locked in a sanitarium?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Mark Spector isn't still locked in the sanitarium just imagining all this.
I didn't even connect those two, but it's possible that he's. Yeah, it's possible.
I'm telling you, man. What happens here is at the end of the last issue, Moon Knight became the Moon Knight, as in flying a spaceship on the moon, fighting werewolves who are flying spaceships, trying to get to the last of the human race, who are also on the moon.
Yeah, the wolves. It's implied that the wolves have somehow taken over Earth, and the last surviving humans are on the moon or on a space base on the moon, and this is the big final battle of the humans versus the werewolves in space.
Yes, and while he's doing this, he's having flashbacks to being Jake driving the taxi with Frenchie as passenger. And when the spaceship crashes, he has a vision of crashing the taxi and Frenchie dying. And at one point, the taxi's on the moon instead of the spaceship, and Frenchie's dead because Frenchie's his co-pilot in the spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets back to Earth, and first taxi's gone, then the taxi's fine, then Frenchie's gone, and then he finally gets into Gina's diner, and everybody's dead in the diner, and the police are there to get him.
Yeah.
And what you finally realize is, even though he's Jake Lockheed at this point, Mark Spector / Jake Lockheed / Moon Knight is going completely around the friggin' bend.
Yeah, and it makes sense that he's in the sanitarium imagining all this.
You know, I don't know, man. What I do know is when I was at the comic seller the other day, I saw issue 13 on the stand, and I couldn't be more excited that this thing is selling well. And issue 13 is on the stand, and it's still coming out.
Yeah. It's good. It's really good.
It's really good, and because in the last series, he was in Los Angeles, and mentally he kept swapping back and forth between being Captain America. Who was it? Captain America, Wolverine, and Daredevil. So at any given time, he would be Moon Knight, Captain America, Wolverine, or Daredevil, depending on which skill set he needed in a particular fight.
Yeah.
And they would all talk to him and tell him what to do while he was Moon Knight.
Right.
So
he would have they were on his shoulder or whatever.
Right. And he would have the morals of that given character at that given time.
Yeah, man. I wouldn't be surprised if all of this is just him being crazy in a sanitarium somewhere.
Dude, this is a great read, man.
It's really good. And the art's good too.
And there are different kinds of books that you can read. There's great action books, and then there's things like The Vision and this that are really deep psychological thrillers where you're trying to figure out what's happening in the book. And that's what Daredevil has always tended to be. That's what that Vision book is, and that's what this Moon Knight series is, written by Jeff Lemire. This is a great book, man. This really is.
Yeah, it's another one of those things, like we said earlier, it's one of those books that Marvel's doing really well with, and that we want to see more of this, but they're not promoting this Moon Knight book.
No.
Not for real.
No.
But this is what I would want to be reading.
Yeah.
They need to diversify.
And this is one of those things where if I'm not telling you, dude, you got to read this, you don't even know it's out there.
Yeah. The same thing with this Daredevil book, I think, which is also really good.
Yeah.
Dude, this Daredevil series, and I've never been a huge fan of Daredevil. Like Daredevil, not been one to read his stuff. at least on a regular basis. The last 12 issues of Daredevil have changed that for me. You've got Charles Soule writing this thing. You've got Matt Mila and Ron Garney doing the art, and it's just such appropriate art for this kind of storytelling. The use of color and the angles and the art, the whole art direction of this book are perfectly suited to the way you want to tell a Daredevil story. And this might be in the same way that we remember Frank Miller's run and Brian Michael Bendis's run on Daredevil books. We might remember this one too, because it's been very good. It's been a home run almost every issue.
Yeah, it's good. It is.
Yeah. And then you have this crazy storyline with this murderous artist guy. And this is the kind of brand new crazy villain that you like to see someone like Daredevil deal with.
And I'm not looking at it because I've already moved on to the next book I've got to review. And I'm just kind of glancing at it so I can remember what I got to review. But I'm doing this from memory. But the color in that book is so good because it's not 4-color. It's red, white, black, and gray.
Yeah.
So it's this it's like the red that's Daredevil and the red of the blood that the killer's using, and then everything else is just kind of black and gray. And there's a few other colors that are mixed in there, but everything else is just kind of black and gray. And it's awesome, man. It is.
I tell
awesome.
you what, when you're reading this thing panel to panel, like I like to do, and you're not looking at the individual page, but just the panel, and it does that zoom in, you really see how good this art is.
It's the art. It's really good.
This is the sort of thing I go out and buy a hardcover for.
It's really good. It really
I would go out whenever this comes out in that format. I will go out and buy it. I'll go to Bob's and buy it because I would want to put something like this on my shelf and someone say, "Oh, Daredevil, yeah, man, read this."
Yeah.
So anyway, Daredevil confronts this artist. I'm using finger quotes because I can't remember his name. Responsible for these horrible, grisly crimes that are taking place in this art gallery. After probing him a little bit and kind of seeing what kind of guy he is, which is completely insane, he makes a getaway and Matt loses him. So Matt decides to return to the scene of the crime and help with the investigation. He gets there and he finds the Inhuman law enforcement's basically kicked everybody out and taken over the investigation. He meets with Frank McGee, who's head of the Attilan security. Have we seen him before?
Yeah, man, he's all over the Inhuman books.
Okay, I thought he seemed familiar, so I thought we had. The two talk about the crime and the best way to handle it. Matt asks them to share any data the Inhumans find with the DA's office because the Inhumans have technology that the district attorney's office will never have. But he tells them that that's not up to him, it's up to Medusa. And then we get into what I really enjoyed about this book was Daredevil goes to New Attilan and pays a visit to Medusa and asks, can you help us with this case? And she immediately tells him no. Which, by the way, with the Medusa thing, you get the reds again with her hair. So that use of red that's all over this book is you see it here again. She tells him no. He pushes back, not understanding why. Him and Karnak get in a fight, which is also really cool because
that's really cool.
I really like Karnak, and the two of them fighting each other is a neat idea. But Karnak kind of gets his butt handed to him.
Yeah.
He gets the early edge against Daredevil, but Daredevil finds his weakness and takes advantage of it. So that was cool. So McGee shows up again and tells Daredevil to take a walk with him. And he explains to Daredevil that Medusa has to handle this situation on her own because it's a power thing. if she can't handle this on her own, it makes her look like a weak leader. However, McGee feels differently and decides to share info with Daredevil. During this time, Daredevil gets a phone call from, I forget his name, but it's the guy that's Blind Spot. And the artist has struck again. I'll let you read it to find out what happens. But yeah, man, this is probably, this book's great.
Really good book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's made me a Daredevil fan.
Yeah. Did you ever go back and read that Daredevil from the last series where where the Kingpin's got him?
Huh.
I'm going to text that issue to you tonight. You need to read it.
Okay. And I need to read Shadowlands too. Dude,
Shadowlands good. You never read that?
Yeah, no, I never read it. I wanted to and never got around to it. It's all unlimited, so I'll go read it.
I'll text you that issue though. It's totally cool. Old Man Logan number 12. This is what's happened at the end of the last issue. Sohi, as I believe this young man's name, shows up. And in the future, in the Old Man Logan future, excuse me, he meets Sohi as an older man, we should say, and kills everyone. He kills Sohi. And what's happened now is Old Man and Lady Deathstrike have basically, Old Man Logan and Lady Deathstrike basically killed everyone. And then Sohi, as a boy of, I guess, 10 or 12 here, shows up and realizes who Logan is and what's going to happen. And Logan tries to explain to him that's not going to happen now because this is a different timeline. I'm a different person. You're a different person. That's not going to happen. And so he just doesn't buy it and begins trying to kill Logan. And trying to kill Logan and trying to kill Logan.
Yeah, repeatedly dropping him down the well and picking him back up again.
And dropping him down the well and trying to pick him back up and trying to, yeah. And it, and then there's, the scene between him and his wife, with one of the scenes from the alternate timeline.
Right.
And that's where we learn, which we never, by the way, we never learn. If you read the Old Man Logan story, you never learn this scene, which is why he promised not to kill or use his claws. And it's actually revealed in this issue, which is this scene right here, where he's talking to Maureen and he promises not to kill everyone. That's actually in this issue. And that's never revealed in that 8 or 9 issue Old Man Logan arc. You never, and that's actually revealed in this issue. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Just where he killed all these people in the Old Man Logan storyline in this part of the arc, if it doesn't make sense. That's where he promises her here he'll never kill anyone again, which is why if you read the Old Man Logan arc,
that's why he's so reluctant to pop his claws.
Right. He never pops his claws until, the Hulks kill his family.
Yeah.
Which, there you go. So finally there at the end, he and Lady Deathstrike have had enough of this, and they're ready to make this a fight.
Also another book with incredible art.
Very good art, very good color. Really good book. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. The art in this book is just as stellar as that Daredevil book.
Yep.
For sure. That
brings us to the Star Wars section, which you are going to talk about. And hopefully I didn't cut you off as you were talking about the Logan book.
No. Darth Vader number 25. This is the final issue of this series. Don't worry. They are doing another Darth Vader comic book series, solo series. So he'll be back. In fact, if you wonder if you're going, okay, I've really loved this book like I have, and you don't understand why they would not do it anymore, which I didn't initially, there's an interview, and if I had a link to it, I'd give it to you, but I can't remember it. I'll see if I can find it. They did an interview with Kieran Gillen about a few months ago when this wrapped up, about why she didn't continue the series. And it was essentially that, first of all, you're bumping up against your time frame for Empire Strikes Back, but also there's not really anything else left to tell. It was its own self-contained little story. It's done now, and now it's time for Darth Vader to resume looking for Luke Skywalker, and that brings us into Empire Strikes Back. But recapping the book, so Vader, in his final confrontation with Dr. Silo, easily dispatches all of his clones and Silo himself by cleverly using a Jedi mind trick on the creatures that make up his living spaceships, which I thought was really cool. And he drives them all into the sun, tells them all to fly into the sun. He reports back to the Emperor, and the Emperor reveals that Dr. Aphra has spilled the beans on everything she and Vader have done. And Vader rewards, of course, the Emperor says, you stole from us, and there was all this subterfuge, and congratulations, you've proven yourself. This is our ways. We are Sith, or whatever. So Vader rewards Dr. Aphra by shooting her out of an airlock to die in a very Darth Vader kind of way. So the Emperor puts Vader back in charge of the Imperial fleet, and he immediately chokes out General Taj and places Admiral Azel in charge of getting the Executor ready to fly, which the guy tells him, it's going to be a month before we can get this thing underway, and he chokes the guy out, looks at the new Admiral, and says, you got 2 weeks. You really, in that panel, you really sense the fear of the people who were under Darth Vader. You really understand how ruthless he was. So now Darth Vader can get back to focusing on finding Luke and the rebels. Meanwhile, BT, 000, and Karsten, the bad Wookiee, they pick up Dr. Aphra's floating body in space and revive her. Having survived their encounter with Darth Vader, they jump off to hyperspace on their own adventures. And spoiler alert, Dr. Aphra's getting her own series,
which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I am too. I like her, and I don't know if I like her or if I like the droids more.
That's a close call.
Yeah, the droids are a lot of fun. Anyway, we get an epilogue with a large group of Tusken Raiders sharing their horror stories of Darth Vader and vowing to fight him or something. I don't know. It was all silent. It was cool, but I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
And then we have Han Solo number, what is this? Number 4? Yeah, number 4. So we're resuming the race again that he's been a part of. You've got this cat dude who is on the ship. He's making threats. Then one of the other guys threatens to shoot him. And at some point, everybody's pointing guns at one another. And they all talk each other off the edge because this other guy, who's like the leader of the race that he's in or something.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. This whole story got a little, it's getting a little stuck in the mud for me. So the whole mission is to get them, he's participating in this race to get them to pick up these rebel spies who are potentially exposed. So at the end of this book, we have all of the spies on board, but it means one of them's a traitor because one of them gave them all up to the Empire. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, it needs to, and it needs to move on in the next issue.
Yeah.
You also have the Star Wars Force Awakens adaptation number 5. That's a direct adaptation of the movie in comic book form. I'm not going to recap it because if you've seen the movie, you've read the book.
There you go.
But it's there if you want to read it.
Yep.
What was your favorite book this week?
That's a good question. Probably that Moon Knight book.
Yeah. Let
me look at the list again. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that Moon Knight book.
Okay, cool.
I really enjoyed that thing, man. It's interesting.
Daredevil was the clear winner this week. It was the one I was most impressed with.
Ah, there you go.
And this issue was the thing that made me go, okay, I guess I'm a Daredevil fan now.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yep. You wanted to talk about something in the dump this week?
Yeah, you got an X Force dump this week.
Yeah, a bunch of X Force books,
5 through 25. Excuse me. And first off, this is kind of Rob Liefeld in his X Force Prime. If you're interested, some good Domino stuff. Some good Deadpool
I flipped
stuff.
through a little bit of it, and it's pretty good.
But here's what's really good here is if you read the X books, okay, all the Uncanny books are there.
Yeah.
All the X-Men books are there. So what you've been missing
is the X-Force stuff.
Is the X-Force stuff. So in issues 16 and 18, 17's already been there. You get the Executioner songs, the parts that you've been missing.
Oh, cool. That's a good story arc.
Right. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about that. What's the issue? Fatal Attractions.
Yeah.
Which was it was a Wolverine story. Wolverine 75, Uncanny 304. I think it was X-Men something. Maybe X-Men 25, and now you have X-Force 25. Okay, so now you got the X-Force part of it. So there's some missing parts of X. Help me out here. X events.
Yeah.
That are here, which are Executioner songs and Fatal Attractions. Both of these stories are now here, and it's just tying up some loose ends, part of the X-Force books. So anyway, cool. Those are now there. Plus, it's great Rob Liefeld stories, and the introduction of a bunch of characters here. So there you go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Your classic read this week, if you look at the banner on top of your app, you'll see this Scarlet Spider Ben Reilly character close up. The first 4 or 5 books in this series are a really good primer on the Clone Saga stuff. If you read the first half of this list, you get the gist of Clone Saga without having to read the whole thing, and you'll at least recognize all the characters in the current event. So you've got Amazing Spider-Man number 149, Web of Spider-Man 117, Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man number 226, just Spider-Man number 51. And it's if you want to know more about what's going on with the Clone Saga, read those books if you don't want to just slog through the whole awful mess.
There you go. Because it is an awful mess.
It's bad.
Yeah. It's bad.
Yeah, it's real bad.
Yeah.
If you want to send us your opinions, if you think the Clone Conspiracy was the best thing that ever happened in Spider-Man lore, email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. Also, please visit our website and social media at
www.6monthsbehind.com.
There you go. And do you have any wisdom for our true believers before we go this week?
Everything happens for a reason, but sometimes that reason is you're stupid and you make bad decisions.
That is some real wisdom for real people, because I know stupid people who make bad decisions. And I'm one of them.
I try not to be.
Yeah, well, me too. But anyway, we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.